Glitch Productions, the indie animation studio that has been exploding over the past few months with the huge hit Murder Drones, this time teams up with Gooseworks, a music composer and animator making animations such as Little Runmo. And together they have made a psychological dark comedy called The Amazing Digital Circus. The show finally premiered its pilot a few days ago, and I am cautiously optimistic about it. Spoilers ahead! Please watch the pilot before arriving here. Just as a reminder for anyone who forgot, Pomni puts on a headset and enters the Digital Circus, where she then gets her new name, and starts thinking it's all a dream. Then Kane, the host of the Digital Circus, sets up this whole glowing quest that the glowings end up kidnapping Zubo. Meanwhile, Pomni, Ragatha, and Jax decide to go check up on Kaufmo, who was a clown that has now gone fully insane. He ends up glitching out Ragatha completely, and Pomni manages to barely escape from him. Meanwhile, Kinger and Gangle go check up on Zubo, who's now in a hole, along with Jax, who comes along. And then the now abstracted Kaufmo comes in and beats up the glowing queen. Meanwhile, Pomni ended up stumbling upon an exit, which led to another exit, and then another exit, and then another, going through infinite rooms and offices that resemble the Stanley Parable a lot. And then Pomni happens to find a PC with a headset on it. She then runs to the end of the exit where there's the Void, which is a place of nothing. That alerts Kane, who goes and brings Pomni back. He also then fixes Ragatha's glitches, and Pomni ends up realizing that it's not all a dream, and is not very happy about it. Alright, now that we have said what happens, let's get to the opinions. But before we get to the parts that concern me, we need to go over the parts that deserve praise. Firstly, the animation is absolutely spectacular. It's super fluid, smooth, never looks bad, incredibly professional, and the animators should be proud of the work they did. It's honestly impressive how good some of these scenes look. There's no scene you can ever tell looks any worse or any different than another, despite animators switching. It's truly great work, like usual from Glitch production shows. Secondly, the pacing on this pilot is genuinely, and I don't say this lightly, some of the best pacing I think I've ever seen in an episode of a show. Everything happens, never drags on, but is never too short. It keeps jumping between them so we never forget the existence of anything, and the comedy is sprinkled throughout at the perfect moment, so I know it's when to be on the serious end and when to joke around for a bit. Mainly with Jax, as he's the one who takes everything the least seriously. And thirdly, they definitely brought up the right amount of mysterious things to get someone like me hooked in. From stuff like the fact Jax has keys to every room somehow, to the PC at the end with the headset with a danger symbol on it, to the rooms themselves having characters never mentioned, like off-color Grimace and Kinger but a different color. Also, the exit having this really big layout. Also, the Wacky Watch website, which currently has a trailer, however can definitely be an important thing in the future with stuff like exclusive weird videos, kind of like the Murder Drones ones they release sometimes. And finally, the hundreds of other abstractions in the cellar, which you can theorize about for days. Now, as said before, the animation is great, but what about the design of the characters themselves? Well, they're a bit hit or miss. A few of them do look really cool, like the humanoid ones, like Pomni, Ragatha, and Jax, all look really nice and have a character design that lends themselves to expression. However, the others, which are probably the more minor characters, are Like, Kinger doesn't have much to express with. It's just a chess piece with a robe. Gango has the same problem, not even having proper fingers to express with. And Zubo just feels like a bunch of randomness strapped together with no rhyme or reason at all. Ken is fine. He's not great, but he can do a lot with the eyes and the mouth, and also he has a normalish body. I do like Bubble, however. Bubble's cute. Aw, look at him. The shiver. Now, that stuff has probably already been said. As the greatest start to a Glitch production series view count wise, this pilot has been incredibly well received, as I already see videos, fan art, and just tons of support all around. However, I have my doubts going into the future for this show. First, the characters. Maybe it's because of a lack of expression, but they feel very one-dimensional. Since Gango is just kind of sad all the time, Kinger is extremely forgettable this episode. I honestly cannot even describe to you how he acts. And Jax, well, of course he's gonna be the main other character. I mean, there's already a plushie of him. I honestly didn't like him that much. He's got a personality, however his whole "I don't care at all" leads him to be quite irrelevant throughout the episode, mainly acting as the humorous one in the cast. The other characters, well, they're one-dimensional here, but forcibly so, since Ragafa is just busy dying the whole episode, Subo is also busy dying, and Pomni is just logically just confused all the time, which makes sense, so I'm not gonna rag on about those three so far. Of course, especially with the pacing of this, no one's on screen for an exceptional amount of time, so not much time to truly become fleshed out. But I feel like characters can convey significant personality in the span of an episode rather than multiple, so it concerns me slightly. Second, while it's well paced in what is happening, it's not necessarily clear what is actually happening. Like, the whole Glowing Quest Jax, Gango, and Kinger were in was a little bit weird. Like, they went there, kind of stood there, and everything happened around it, with Subo just luckily showing up, getting eaten, then when Kaufmo just showed up and beat up the Going Queen out of complete nowhere, while the cast that should be on the adventure there just look at it. And third, I think the soundtrack is more on the negative end, which is surprising considering there's a composer on the show. There's a weird lack of it in a lot of scenes, which you could say add to the eeriness, and sometimes they do, but it can definitely feel a bit jarring when there is absolutely no backing track, but still characters speaking and doing stuff. Just a bit unfinished feeling, and the backing tracks, when they are there, are just okay. They're circus tracks with no real good bit. They're meant to be a backing track you don't think about at all, and it works for that. It's just nothing I'd listen to on its own. This doesn't apply to the intro song. That one slap. I like how it glitches. But what truly concerns me is the direction we're heading. This episode is good. Like, it has its own story. The story of Pomni. From thinking that this isn't real to realizing it is at the end. However, what happens next? There's not much to go off here. Let's take the start of a show like Murder Drones. Don't worry, no spoilers. There's a clear backstory we can figure out. There's a conflict and interesting character dynamics, along with a potential goal for the future. You know, here, there's a goal, for sure. It's getting out. Leaving the digital circus. However, that goal has no way of starting to be completed, as the characters have literally no idea how to get out, or have stopped trying at all. Therefore, where is the show meant to go plot-wise in the future? There's no side mysteries, like Jax potentially having more privileges than the other, figuring out why Ragafa is scared of centipedes since there could be lore there, Kinger maybe having a twin, but there's just that. Side mysteries. The main plot is stuck at a permanent standstill with no true way to progress. Which, while this episode is truly a really good episode of a show, it leaves not much to the imagination, because while there are things to solve, there aren't ways to solve them, which makes me very, very concerned about other episodes, that it could become mundane with just being in different places while trying to do what is impossible. And the characters know this as well. Ragafa mentions it.
You really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy.
But it's not interesting to see something impossible be attempted for more than like 2 episodes. So something needs to happen. And while, of course, something has to happen since they know the plot of the show, it's very possible they could just make it something weird and out of nowhere, and they can truly damage the show. But just because there's little to speculate with, doesn't mean I can't try. So let's figure out what I think the future of this show is gonna be. So first important thing, The Void seems like an extremely relevant place, as it's where there is nothing created or coded yet, leading to it being a place where you can potentially leave the circus and go to somewhere else digital. Maybe crashing the circus, going onto the Windows operating system? That's far-fetched, but it wouldn't be bad. Either way, I think venturing out into the void is the only possible way I can see the cast leaving. Also, the other two places in the circus can't have been mentioned for nothing, so they're definitely spending time in those locations in the future. The headset is another potential avenue, which, side note, that annoys me. Pomni was literally sprinting through the hallways, not noticing anything, and you're telling me the PC with the headset on it has some sort of magical aura that makes her look at that, and only that. Like, that's bullcrap. Anyways, since the headset is a thing in the universe, it could be a thing to potentially chase after in an episode. Kane is currently made out to be the type of crazy, insane villain that treats everything as a show when it's locking them and has sinister intentions. And this show will probably play him up like that for a good while. However, I don't think he is evil. I think he's genuinely trying to do the best for the cast. He seems to not be a human turned into digital. He seems to be made for the circus, considering his control over it and stuff. And when he keeps hearing about people wanting an exit and to leave, he really tries to make it, but can't, because he doesn't know what the real world is. This line right here really makes him seem caring.
I knew how much all of you have been wanting there to be one, but, I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it.
So, recapping, I think the main storyline will be the cast trying to distract Kane to make it to the void unattended. Then they will do something to try to escape, maybe utilizing the headset. It's not really formed in my head, but that's the best prediction I can crack at it this early on, as I don't see many other avenues for a story. To finish it, this pilot was really good, and you should go see it. I'm just very concerned for the future, and I hope that whatever they have got planned isn't boring. See ya at the next video. Meow.